What's up, guys? This is Dino here, and today I will be beginning a brand new story. This is something that was suggested to me by Plus Ultraman, so shout out to him. And yeah, this was a challenging concept and also something that is in the trend right now because if I'm not mistaken, Plus Ultraman and Ronin Charizard they had a series called What If Ash was sponsored by Giovanni, and then Vegito What Ifs did What If Ash was sponsored by Lance. So it just fits the mold in that case. And this was a pretty challenging What If to make. And it was definitely fun. And in regards to the poll that I started in the community tab, where you guys said that you wanted the current Pokemon tab to be displayed throughout the video, yeah, that begins from now on. I have designed a format. I think it's viewer friendly, and if you're listening to this with your screen off or in a audio format, that's also completely fine. I will try to make the script as detailed as possible so you guys can get the feel of listening to a fanfic of some sorts. And before we begin this part, I would like you to know that this is something that I haven't talked about in a while, but I guess it will be fun in this case. If this video hits 20 likes in the next 12 hours of, and when I say 12 hours, I mean 12 hours from being uploaded, I will release the second part sooner than usual. Normally it would take 3 to 4 days. I would try to do it in 1 or 2 days. So there you go. And without further ado, let's begin the story. What if Surge sponsored Ash Part 1? It was just another bright and early morning in Vermilion City. The substitute gym leader Ash Ketchum had just defeated yet another up-and-coming trainer with relative ease, with the final finish being his Raichu using a powerful Thunderbolt attack to take out the challenger's Pidgeotto. As Ash berated the challenger for his lack of motivation during the battle and giving up too soon, the challenger apologized and told him that he would be back better next time, and Ash gave him a thumbs up. After the challenger left, Ash just sat down for a while, reflecting on the battle with his partner, the hyperactive electric mouse Raichu. They were both happy with the battle that they had, but they understood that there was always a scope of improvement, as this challenger was able to inflict a moderate amount of damage on Raichu. During lunch, he was joined by his mentor, and in this case, his sponsor, Lt.Surge, the former gym leader of the Vermilion City, and the current and newly appointed Elite Four member of the Kanto/Johto League. He asked Ash how the battle was, and Ash replied by saying that it was good. He could have done better, but there is always a scope for improvement, and you win and you learn. Surge compliments his mentality, but notices that Ash has some doubt in his mind and just some peril that he's going through right now. She looks at him and asks him, "Kid, is there something that you would like to tell me?" And Ash replies by saying that he has just been wondering, what do trainers do after losing a gym battle? And Surge is taken aback by this question. He did not expect Ash to think of this, and he asks Ash why is he asking this all of a sudden. And Ash tells him that after he defeated the trainer in his gym battle, he told him to get better, and the trainer said that he will return after having completed his further training, and he will win the rematch. But Ash never really understood the concept because so far he hasn't lost a real battle ever. Most of them were just badge defenses after badge defenses, and he never really understood how a trainer who is not affiliated to a gym by any sorts makes it in the Pokemon world. How someone who has absolutely no ties to any sponsors or any Pokemon gyms just gets up and decides to walk their own path without any inspiration and without any mentorship. Surge tells him that that's kind of how he did it after he returned from his ventures in the Unova military system. He tells Ash that when he started his journey to become a Pokemon trainer, there was absolutely nothing that he could inspire from, because at that time Pokemon training wasn't really a thing, and the Pokemon League was just established right when he started his journey. So it was a bit difficult to draw an inspiration and carve out your own path, but once you do, that's the best feeling ever. Ash then asks him more about his journey, and Surge goes on to explain how when he was traveling across the region, there were absolutely no routes mapped, and they had to carve out their own paths. Instead of traveling through the convenient routes that had been mapped nowadays, they had to travel through thick forests and mountainous cliffs. Even the caves that he sees right now are much more convenient than they look, because previously there were no caves connecting one city to another. For example, if you had to go through Cerulean City to Pewter City, you had to literally cross Mount Moon, because at the time the tunnel path or the cave had not been built yet. So that's how they used to do. It has become really convenient for them to travel to Pewter City through Vermilion City because of the Diglet cave. But at the time there were no such things. Ash is intrigued by all this, and the next day, when after once again defending his gym badge, he has finally had enough. He walks on into Surge's room and asks him if if he can travel, if he can go out on his own journey, just to find out more about himself and Pokemon in general. And Surge asks him if this means he intends on taking the gym badge challenge and challenge the Pokemon League. Ash tells him maybe, as that would be the best way to go, and that's what he's thinking right now. Ever since he heard Surge's story of returning from the military and taking on the gym challenge, he has been intrigued by this concept, and the whole walking your own path and carving out your own destiny talk was just getting to him right now. He wanted to be like Surge, and then he had a flashback of the time he watched Surge challenge the Pokemon League after being a gym leader for a while. And this was a great battle. Although he came up short against Lance, he was able to defeat a lot of the Elite Four members, and that's what got him promoted to the Kanto Elite Four. And after he went on to Professor Oak's laboratory to give an inspirational speech to all the young trainers present here, he picked Ash after after he organized a contest to see who was the most aspiring trainers of them all, and that's where Ash was picked. And ever since then, for the past 4 years, he had been sponsoring Ash and helping him become a Pokemon trainer. And although Ash has gotten really strong with his partner and his starter Pokemon Raichu, which originally evolved from a Pikachu, there was always a part of him that wanted to know and test himself out in the real world, and just wanted to know his stock other than being a substitute gym leader. Surge has had mixed feelings about this whole concept, but then he realized that Ash was no longer a baby. He could make his own decisions, and if he was able to walk the path all these years ago, there is no reason he should doubt Ash's ability to do the same. Surge then replies by saying that, "Okay kid, if that's what you want to do, you have my full support. You can go out on your journey next thing tomorrow." And Ash is taken aback by this. Although he expected Surge to agree, he did not expect his approval to come through so easily. He expected to have that he would have to do a lot more convincing and present some evidence. Maybe there would be a test for him to prove he was ready for this journey. But no, Surge just instantly agreed to this. Ash then frantically asked that's great that Surge agreed to him going out on his own journey. But in the meantime, who will manage the gym? Surge can no longer do that because he is a member of the Elite Four. So who is going to do it? And then walks in Surge's wife, Whiskers. She tells Ash that she will manage the gym while he's away and not to worry about this. He has every right to go out on his own journey, and she heard the conversation that Ash had with Surge, and if Surge would not have agreed to this, she would have made him do so. And Ash thanks her, but sarcastically asks her if she is up to the task, which angers her and scares both Ash and Surge at the same time. So after getting the approval from his mentors, that night Ash could not sleep due to the excitement. He could just think about all the places he would go, all the places that he had heard about, all the gym leaders he would challenge, and maybe, just maybe, eventually he would get to battle Surge in an all-out contest after he's gotten stronger from his journey. The next day in early morning, Ash woke up and was preparing to depart on his journey. And before he left, he was met by Surge and Whiskers. Whiskers told Ash that first of all he should head over to Pallet Town to tell his mother about this. She had a talk on the phone with her, and she was pretty adamant that Ash should visit Pallet Town first. Ash is a little bummed out about this and tries to wiggle his way out of this by saying that he would visit Pallet Town after winning 4 gym badges, and this earns him a glare from Whiskers, which tells him otherwise. Surge then tells Ash that Whiskers is right and he should visit his mother before leaving. And besides, on his way to Pallet Town, he could challenge the Cerulean City Gym and the Pewter City Gym, so that would be just good. And Ash hesitantly nods. Before leaving, Surge gives him a special military Pokédex. He tells Ash that this Pokédex has his his morning workout routine installed in it, and also the data on most Pokemon and how to use them. He would not get this from normal Pokédex because Surge has especially integrated the data he has collected from his own journeys into this Pokédex. So this would serve Ash really well and give him insights that most new trainers don't have. Ash has kind of mixed feelings about this because he wanted this to be a fresh start of some sort, but still, this is something that he should appreciate. Ash then asks Surge where should he head next, and Surge tells him that the best way to go from here is to follow the map that is installed in the Pokédex. And by accounts of the map, he should go northwards towards route Route 9 and take the underground path to Cerulean City because as far as he is heard, the route to Saffron City is going through some constructions. Unfortunately he has to take the underground path regardless. So with that, Ash sets out on his journey, traveling through the north of Vermilion City to reach the entrance of the underground path, which would take him to Cerulean. There he is met by a bug catcher named Ronnie, who challenges him to a Pokemon battle. Ronnie recognizes Ash from being the substitute gym leader and asks him if he wins this battle, could he get a badge. Ash tells him not to sweat it, that as he would not be winning the battle period, so it would be quite alright. And true to his word, Ash destroys Metapod in less than a minute and tells Ronnie that he should focus on evolving his Metapod further, as being a defensive mon would not help him, and once it evolves into Butterfree, it would get some long range attacks which would help him win a match or two. Ronnie thanks him and goes on and offers to pay him the bounty money, but Ash refuses. Ronnie asks him if he is beginning his journey right now, he would need the money, but Ash replies by saying that he has a lot of leftovers from his commission as acting substitute gym leader, so he does not need the money at all and not to sweat it. He then laments the fact that he has to travel through the underground path to Cerulean City, and Ronnie tells him that he should not worry about it, as all the money he has gathered so far would come in handy. Ash is surprised as to why he would say that, and Ronnie tells him that once he travels through the underground path, he would know. As Ash starts to travel through the path, he is incredibly disgusted by the smell that the route has. And eventually, when he reaches the exit of the underground path, he is confronted by a tall, bald person who introduces himself as, you know what, let's just have some fun with it, who introduces himself as Nappa. And Nappa tells Ash that if he intends on exiting through Cerulean City, he has to pay a toll. Ash is extremely confused by this and asks him since when do public routes have tolls on it. And Nappa tells him that since hundreds of years, ever since their boss and by extension him have been ruling over this town. Ash then asks Nappa if he's 100 years old, and Nappa replies to him by saying that no, he's not. This immediately confirms Ash's suspicion that Nappa is just a big bad tough guy who don't have a lot of brains on him. So he tells Nappa that he would not be paying the toll and what will be the consequences of his action. And Nappa grins sadistically, saying that the consequences will be him getting completely annihilated alongside his pesty rat Pokemon, and both of them will be thrown out into Vermilion City, back where they came from. And Ash just sighs and tells him to get on with the battle, as Nappa sends out his Weezing. And although Weezing puts up a decent fight against Raichu, it is no match for the well-trained electric type, and it gets knocked out by a powerful Thunderbolt. Ash tells Nappa to in to not be involved in the goonish kind of activities and instead focus his time on training. As far as I can see, Nappa is a pretty decent trainer when compared to several gym challengers that he has faced so far. But he's wasting his time trying to make chump change out of tolls on public roads. So he should just focus on being better as a Pokemon trainer instead of a goon. And although in Ash's mind this is some sort of a life-changing and inspirational speech, this only infuriates Nappa even further, who tells Ash that sooner rather than later the leader will hear about this and he will make Ash pay. But Ash is long gone by then. As he exits the underground path, he travels further north and passes by the Pokemon daycare to finally reach Cerulean City. He's ecstatic about finally challenging a gym, as the trip through the underground tunnel has taken a lot out of him. So after resting a bit in the Pokemon Center, he decides to head to the Cerulean City gym. But he's once again confronted by Nappa, of all people. Nappa tells Ash that he officially challenges him to take the Nugget Bridge challenge. Ash asks him what the Nugget Bridge challenge is, and Nappa replies to him by saying that he will specially organize 7 trainers for Ash to battle back to back to back, and this challenge will take place after 4 days, so Ash could have enough time to prepare. If Ash is able to defeat all those trainers in a row in succession, he will award Ash with a golden nugget, which can be sold for $5,000. And Ash says that he accepts this challenge only on the condition that he gets to battle Nappa once again after defeating the trainers. But Nappa tells him that's not part of the deal. So reluctantly, Ash accepts the challenge just to shoo Nappa away. And Nappa laughs maniacally before saying that this will be Ash's doom, and he leaves. After that, Ash goes on to the Cerulean City gym to inquire about a gym battle. But he is told that the gym leader Misty is out on a trip to Mount Silver and she won't be returning for a while. So Ash better challenge some other gym and can't come back here later. Ash is absolutely infuriated by this news. First of all, there is him feeling guilty about even after just being a substitute gym leader. He's feeling guilty on going this journey because he did not want to concern Whiskers with the responsibility of handling the gym. And there's this Misty, who decides to go on a trip to Mount Silver of all places and leaves her gym completely unattended to. But despite this, he thinks that the Nugget Bridge challenge will somewhat suffice for his thirst for battle. So he decides to travel further west from Cerulean City and train his Pokemon up a bit and maybe capture some new ones. He comes across a lot of Pokemon, Meowth, Clefairy, etc. and Paris, but none of them really strike his interest, and he decides to just train Raichu for even further, as he's pretty confident that Raichu will be able to one-shot the entire water type gym, no matter how powerful Misty is. And while they're battling, they come across a Nidoran, male Nidoran on top of that. Ash notices that so far all the Nidorans that he has encountered so far were female. So a male Nidoran being here was not just a coincidence. This Nidoran must be powerful, as he orders Raichu to approach it and see what it's doing. And the Nidoran immediately burrows itself in a hole in the ground. Ash recognizes this move as Dig, as a lot of challengers have tried this move out against him. So he moves closer and tries to wiggle the Nidoran out of the hole, but it just burrows even further. And Ash tells Raichu to pull it out, as A Nidoran who knows dig at this stage should be a pretty powerful one at that. So Raichu uses its tail to wiggle out the Nidoran out and force it to battle. But Ash notices that the Nidoran is extremely hesitant to battle and borderline scared of Raichu. So this makes it a relatively easy capture, as after a mildly powerful Thunderbolt, Ash throws out his Pokeball at the Nidoran and is able to capture it, making it his first official Pokemon. Over the next few days, he starts to train the Nidoran in the same brutal military style workout method that he and Raichu had been doing all this time. But to his surprise, the Nidoran is extremely hesitant to train. It's not that it's lazy, but it's just afraid to put in the work, and especially in the sparring sessions with Raichu, it is absolutely terrified of the hyperactive electric mouse, and always gave up even though Ash knew it had a lot more fight in it. But over 2 days, Ash was able to somewhat ease Nidoran into training. Although this was not by Ash's own maturity or handling Nidoran well. This was more of Nidoran just accepting that he has to go through the training one way or the other. So it's better to suck up and just do the training, as this way it would eventually grow a bit more powerful. But the main issue that Nidoran has was its confidence. Even in the sparring sessions where it appeared that it would gain the upper hand, it would never pull on the trigger, and he would never go all out and just hold back and try to curl up and accept defeat rather than being in a dogfight against a much more powerful Raichu. So this routine continued on, and eventually the day of the Nugget Bridge challenge finally arrived. Ash went on to the Nugget Bridge, and definitely enough, Nappa was waiting for him there. Nappa was doubtful that Ash would show up, and Ash told him that he should just focus on holding up his end of the bargain rather than worry about Ash showing up, as he is here and he is here to battle. So Nappa goes to the very end of the bridge and tells Ash and yells at Ash from the other side to focus on his battles, as he's pretty sure Ash wouldn't make it past 3. The first battle occurs between Ash versus a Pokemon trainer named Janice and her Clefairy. Ash sends out Nidoran. Although Ash is a bit doubtful that Nidoran would once again hold back, this battle goes on pretty well. Although Nidoran is still holding back and still a bit afraid in his battle, it's nowhere near the fear that it had shown against Raichu. And despite battling at about 80% of his capacity and being extremely nervous in the battle, the fruits of Nidoran's training is showing somewhat, as it's able to knock the fairy type out with a super effective poison sting attack. The next battle that occurs is a rematch between Ash and the bug catcher Ronnie, once again using his Metapod, and Ash berates him for still not evolving his Metapod. And Ronnie tells him that Metapod just likes to be this way and does not want to evolve. Ash just sighs, and as he thinks to himself that that's such an idiotic concept, Pokemon not wanting to evolve. How does one even come to that conclusion? Of course they want to evolve. But nonetheless the battle continues, and Nidoran is much more comfortable battling against a more defensive style opponent, and actually shows some of its latent potential and is able to let loose a bit more, as he scores the second victory in a row. Ash is extremely delighted and thinks that finally his training and his drills have managed to make Nidoran a bit more courageous. And then comes the third battle. And this time the Pokemon trainer, to Ash's surprise and Nidoran's absolute horror, sends out yet another male Nidoran. Ash's Nidoran's counterpart, the other Nidoran, is just a lot more aggressive than Ash's one. And this causes it to curl up in fear as the battle begins, and it immediately abandons all its offensive capabilities that it has shown in the previous 2 battles, and spends most of its time dodging and just trying to get away from the battle itself. Ash yells at it to focus, as he recognizes that his Nidoran is much more powerful than the other. So he just does not understand why it's acting so timid and why is it acting so scared. He yells at Nidoran to or go for a dig attack, but Nidoran just straight up freezes up, as it's unable to move due to fear and is completely paralyzed. And this orders the other Nidoran to use Peck attack back to back, finally taking Ashes out. Ash is extremely disappointed at this as he recalls Nidoran, but he decides not to make a scene out of it. He then sends out his Raichu, as Raichu completely obliterates the opposing Nidoran. And the rest of the battles are pretty one-sided because Raichu is very well trained for these local trainers and is able to defeat the rest, the latter four trainers of the Nugget Bridge, thereby winning Ash the Nugget Bridge challenge. And although Ash has had his doubts about Nappa, he remains true to his word as he gives Ash the nugget that he promised. Ash later sells it for a good $5,000, making him even more loaded than he already was. Because remember, this version of Ash had been substituting for Surge as a gym leader for about 2 years at least, so he has a lot of cash. Ash is rich in this what if. That night at the Pokemon Center, Ash contacts his mother through the video calling system and introduces her to his new Pokemon and tells her everything that had happened. Ash's mother is pretty skeptical and tells him not to do business with with the with the kind of goons that he just described, as it can be really unsafe for him to do so. They could mob him of all his money, and Ash tells her not to worry. As long as he has Raichu with him, nobody can ever harm him. As the electric type Pokemon, still somehow full of energy after going through so many battles, gives her an enthusiastic thumbs up. After this, Ash contacts Lieutenant Surge and tells him everything that has happened so far. He asks him why is his Nidoran acting this way, and Surge tells him that he can't expect every Pokemon to be just like Raichu, and making Nidoran just like Raichu would take some time. And he tells Ash to always keep in mind that Raichu has been his partner for more than 4 years. So that's why Raichu is more open to Ash's ideas and battling style than his newer Pokemon will be, and he has to ease his new Pokemons into his battling style and into his training style, so that would take some time. And Ash tells him that he would keep this in mind before he shuts the conferencing off and goes to sleep. His next stop will be at Pewter City because unfortunately, from what it appears, he would not be challenging the Cerulean City for a while. After Ash leaves, Nappa walks into the Pokemon Center and he takes his time to video call his leader, or so he call, or so he, what he whom he called or referred to as a leader previously, and he tells this young redhead trainer, everything that Ash told him, and of the power that Ash's Raichu had displayed so far. And the trainer tells him that sooner or later he will meet this Ash character. And that's where I'll be ending this part, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and once again, if this video hits 20 likes in the next 12 hours, I will upload the next part sooner. Shout out to Plus Ultraman for suggesting this what if, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will see you guys in the next video.